conversations, and many of the films will have in-cinema talkbacks and panels immediately following the screening, whether that's a Q&A with a director or a producer, or a panel with local experts on the subject of the film. Films explore a variety of themes and topics that are timely and relevant to all of our communities and our audiences, and we want to bring these special stories to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Film has an incredible legacy when it comes to presenting documentaries as either part of the film festival or all the other things, Black Lens. Now, this is different. Is this the first time you've had the Dialogues Documentary Festival?
Yes, yes. So this is the first year that we are holding this festival, and we are holding it much like you just said. We have a really great legacy with showing these different documentaries about a variety of communities and people, and we wanted to continue that past just having documentaries in our annual film festival. There are so many great documentaries out there, so this felt like a great opportunity to show more of those to the Milwaukee community.
Milwaukee, now the annual, I'm looking for a word, the annual film festival is now held in the spring. So what makes this different than what you would do in the spring when you have Milwaukee Film Festival?
Yeah, so the Milwaukee Film Festival is 2 weeks of films of all different types, fiction, shorts, documentaries, kind of everything you can think of. This is a much smaller lineup, and it's more focused on bringing, like I said, these important stories to Milwaukee. So it's a much smaller lineup, fewer days. It's right around 30 films with, I believe, just 5 shorts programs. And it is still a great variety of films in the sense that there's a lot of different types of stories being told. But it is just documentaries as opposed to the Milwaukee Film Festival, where it's truly a little bit of everything.
So how wide-ranging are these documentaries in terms of subject matter?
They are quite wide-ranging. So we have, like, for example, we are showing a film about artificial intelligence and kind of the, development of it. The film is called The Thinking Game, and it's about this scientist who built this computer. So we have a film like that, and then we also have a film called Dust to Dust. So that's about the fast fashion industry, and a film called Black Table that's about a group of Black students at Yale University. So it is truly a wide variety of topics.
I think you alluded to it earlier, but just maybe circling back. So will some of the directors of these films be here, be in attendance? You have talk back and things like that, discussions of the films?
Yes, yeah, we do have a few filmmakers who will be in attendance. It's not for every film, obviously, but we do have several filmmakers, whether it's directors or producers, and a couple of documentary subjects as well that will be in attendance.
I know that usually with the Milwaukee Film Festival, there are multiple venues. What will be the venue for the documentary festival?
So we will be showing films for the documentary festival at both the Oriental Theater and at the Downer Theater.
Oh, the Downer. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. I'm freaking because how long has the Downer been open? Because it closed for a while and then reopened, right?
Yeah. So we took over operations of the Downer with the start of the 2024 Milwaukee Film Festival. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the festival, we have continued to show first run cinema titles there. So we're also using that venue as part of the Dialogue Festival as well.
Are you a fan of documentaries?
I am. I have always really loved watching different documentaries, whether it's about like a subject, like a wide subject matter about a specific person or anything like that. I do all of the programming for the music documentaries that we show during our annual festival. Mm-hmm. So this was a fun experience as we were programming this festival, to watch other documentaries, not just the ones that are about music. So it's been a lot of fun programming this festival.
Now, the correct answer is you're excited about all of them, but are there
Yes.
some in particular that you really, really kind of you went like, wow, this is a must see?
Yeah, I definitely say there's a film called We Can Be Heroes. It's a very heartfelt film about a group of students who are going to a summer camp, and it's a really cute like coming of age documentary, I guess is a good way to put it. There's also a collection of short films called Shorts Carceral Justice. That's it's several short films that are about carceral justice reforms and actions, including some efforts that are happening right here in Milwaukee. And there's a short in that program that was a favorite of mine as we were watching and programming for this festival. So I'm very excited about that shorts program. Agent of Happiness is another one that I'm looking forward to seeing. I haven't actually seen that one yet, but it is one that has been on the festival circuit for a while, and we've been trying to program it. So we're very excited we finally got it for this festival. But it's basically about this group of people who attempt to measure happiness in kind of around the world. So it sounds like a really interesting subject matter, like not something that I would have thought about.
They tried to quantify. Is that what we're getting? Trying to quantify happiness?
Yeah, in a sense,
that's fascinating.
They're basically these like agents are sent across Bhutan to measure people's happiness, and then that's how they inform the government's goal of increasing the company's happiness.
I like you. I love documentaries. It's you learn so much, and so I'm constantly watching watching documentaries. The one that you mentioned about the students at Yale, I'm really interested in that one. Being at, I can understand the cultural and some of the other things that maybe those students experience being at a predominantly white institution. So that one just kind of jumped out at me as one that I'd certainly like to see.
Yeah, that one is that is another one that I have not personally seen, but it looks and sounds very interesting. It got really good reviews coming out of the Tribeca Film Festival, and it's one of the ones that I'm excited about that highlights different identities and cultures and how it can, even though this these students at Yale, still has a lot of great connections to the Milwaukee community.
So if folks want to attend the Dialogues Documentary Festival, how can they do that? Oh, and what's the dates? We didn't do the dates.
So the festival begins tomorrow, which is the 26th of September, and then it goes through Sunday, so that is September 29th. And then in order to attend, you can go to our website, which is mkefilm.org. And then from there, you can go to there's a big dialogue banner. You can also go to mkefilm.org/dialogues documentary fest. And that will take you to the Dialogues homepage, which has the list of films. And when you click into those films, it has opportunities to look at when the films are scheduled, purchase tickets, find out about panelists and any directors that will be in attendance on those film pages as well.
Ms. Abbie Esterline, she is the program coordinator at Milwaukee Film. She's here talking about the Dialogues Documentary Festival that starts tomorrow and runs through Sunday. Again, as part of Milwaukee Film. This is, well, you all just do an incredible job in terms of bringing, we keep calling it film, but you also bring some great movies too. The Last Dragon is like one of my favorite films that you all showcased there, Milwaukee Film. So really thank you. Really good hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Again, that is the Dialogues Documentary Festival. It's going to be held starting tomorrow, September 26th through. Yeah, man, where am I?
You didn't lose a day. You lost.
I lost months. Going forward, not going back. I'm going forward and I'm losing months. But again, and those of you who've ever had a chance, go to Milwaukee Film Festival. All their the different offerings is just incredible. And I really appreciate the work that they do there, being a film lover. I love movies. And thank you. Look forward to that. I'm definitely going to try to get over there for that one about the Yale students. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I have to, it seems like some of the simplest things can become very complicated. And I'm curious to this. Well, I'm not curious. What's got my attention is this fight over the flag for Milwaukee. And
I think me personally, I guess it was, who was it? Donovan? Who's the older person who submitted the secondary one that they're going back and forth with?
Was it Bauman? The one with the City Hall on it?
Yeah. I personally don't like the one with the City Hall on it. It doesn't look centered properly and doesn't show the whole building. It just does not seem to go with the other part of the rendering that's there. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah, and I'm just so I'm getting ready to pull up. I've been seeing headlines on it, and
that's just my personal, to me.
Yeah, because the flag that we have now is what, 60 years old? The current flag.
Yeah, and it's dated. It's seen better days. It certainly looks dated.
Yeah. Okay. A guy who's really become like a major player, in city politics is Peter Bergalis, who is, I think he represents the South Side. He was a county supervisor, and now he's an alderperson. Sends powerful messages. I'm trying to figure out what the argument was. It says detractors. I'm reading from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. It says detractors argue that the process that years ago produced the design by Robert Lenz was flawed and unrepresentative of Milwaukee's majority minority population. And they said the file before the council Tuesday was missing critical technical components without which a vote should not be taken. The flag is coined the people's flag, but honestly, which people, Alderman Mark Chambers Jr. said. The whole meaning of the term people's flag is hypocritical, Alderman Russell Stamper said. It did not involve the entire community, the entire Black art community. 7 of the 15 council members on Tuesday backed delaying the vote on the flag, meaning it will come up in the council's next meeting on October 15th. Just 3 votes required to trigger the delay.
I don't like even the new flag that they're, as far as what they're voting on. It's not a good looking flag to me. It's 2 or 3 colors, and it has nothing that speaks to or bears out what we as a community are about. What does that mean? What is that blue, yellow, and what does that mean, Keith?
I don't know. And what does it mean to say it's the people's flag and there's no people on there? And then I'm trying to figure out what that means, because it seems that like a lot of the opposition was coming from the Black council members. So I don't know how it should. I don't know.
It's
what it should look like.
It's just a plain flag. Okay, so then you throw City Hall on it, which doesn't jive with the colors, and it doesn't make sense. It's not pleasantly pleasing to the eye, to me.
Right, because the old flag had components in there of what Milwaukee had, like grain, manufacturing, industry, exactly. That kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, what should it be? The lake?
Well, we're supposed to be a great place on a great lake.
Which I think is a great slogan. I don't know who came up with that.
I don't know that dairy and all of those.
Well, because we don't do that. Manufacturing is no longer our primary
beer
industry here.
Beer
is
gone. Not the capital per se.
Right. I think that's what the grain was, the hops, for the beer. I don't know. But obviously it got people's dandered up because
got they what up?
They're dandered up.
Buck jumping. What was it? Buck jumping?
Buck
jumping around here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, but I understand. Maybe I don't understand. I'm not that smart.
Keith, I know
Uh,
you were listening. I know you were listening out on your, what is it called, the Garrett. You were sitting on your Garrett,
um,
eating what the
no,
scones.
actually, the Lanai.
Lanai. Okay.
Lanai. I'm sorry, the Lanai. I didn't
Okay.
get a chance this morning. And
Okay.
what
But you were listening. Did you think that the handling of one Meach was a little severe? I felt sorry for Meach this morning.
Well, it's interesting. You said something. I remember right after the debate, I kept saying, "Where's Meach?" And then I said, "Meach went dark." And, and yeah, and you mentioned that that's well, actually, the term is "go black," right?
Yeah,
In
he
the
went black.
CIA, when you are really deep
Hmm.
undercover, they
Right.
say going black. You just disappear. You
Yeah.
there.
No
There's
radio
no
communications. No nothing.
nothing. Um, and he should have called in. And after the debate, I would have loved to be able to hear what he thought of the debate performance. Let me give Vice President Harris credit. They showed it again. Who was it last night? Frontline did a whole nice kind of timeline of the lives of Vice President Harris and former President Trump, and their roots, those influencers in their lives, and one of the issues came up. They showed Vice President Harris right after the debate between President Biden and former President Trump, and how she was a real soldier, and to be able to, because there was no running from it. It was what it was. She showed a whole lot of moxie, and she showed a whole lot of intellectual dexterity. I like that, in terms of how she was able to maneuver. But I like the folks who support Donald Trump. There is no alternative universe, and I have to give the Dems credit on that, because again, she came out on CNN right after the debate. She caught the heat. We had previously scheduled Wes Moore to be on my program on Friday, and he faced it. And you're not necessarily getting that on the other side. Anybody remember we were kids? The emperor has no clothes. Y'all remember that little fable, and how everybody around, even though the emperor had no clothes, his enablers was all going like he was fully clothed. And here you go. And I think if you want to be, it seems, on the good side of Donald Trump, then what you do is you just give him just unadulterated flattery, right? That feeds right into all those things that he needs, his egotistical needs, and so I think just being truthful, and you have to. I admire that piece of it in terms of how the Dems really handled, which was a very difficult situation. Obviously, it was so difficult that they ended up changing candidates in the middle of the race. You have to acknowledge it. You have to take ownership of it, and then you move on. One other little quick thing: I understand that Vice President Harris is going to be visiting the border Friday. I don't know if I said it on Monday, but I'm saying it on Wednesday. Why? What's the point? If anything, is going to make it look like this wasn't a real issue for you until you began to look at your poll numbers and saying that Donald Trump is still beating you when it comes to immigration. Those lines they're narrowing in terms of the numbers, but it's still pretty significant out there. And then there's this gnawing feeling that I have in my gut that I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. It seems that if we did the right thing, we would vote on the person's ability to be able to lead the country. Um, I don't know where the nostalgia came from the good old days under the Trump administration. Um, I don't remember them being all that good. Now they weren't all that bad either. They just were what they were, and the fact that
Man, there was always controversy. This one stepped away, walked out, left.
yeah, I mean,
This one's being indicted. This one's under investigation under his administration. That was daily. You coined it best, as you always stated. He's the gift that kept on giving.
oh, for us who do talk radio, it was perfect. I mean, and I hate to say this, certainly during COVID, but I don't get a sense of we were in a great place. We were in a better place than we were in 2016 than we were in 2008. That I can't say, right? Because we were looking at economic collapse in 2008. And Donald Trump benefited from the economy that Obama gave him. And then what's the first thing Republicans do?
And why is that never factored in? Because you never really hear, they'll say, oh, the economy was this. Yeah, but you inherited a stable economy.
Right. Well, I think because when you try to have a conversation about something as complex as the U.S. economy and world economy, people's eyes begin to glaze over, right? So they want easy answers. So Donald Trump can get away with, I'm going to fix it. I don't hear any plan. And then what are, in fact, you're fixing? But there are people out there, that's all they need to hear, that he can get away with concepts. What was it? What was the term I heard on Michelle's program? The privilege of complexion.
Exactly.
And being male. And you're hearing women say how they always have to be twice as good. Now, think about this then as a woman who's descendants of enslaved African and who's also a descendant of formerly colonized people in South Asia. And yeah, she can't. As a matter of fact, one of the commentators was saying, was she being overly cautious in terms of not wanting to make a mistake? Because she understands if she makes a mistake, it is magnified to the point where people ride with it. The right will point out that, oh, see, this is what we're talking about. I mean, they called her a DEI hire. I mean, really?
Jeez.
And then you have the people like CNN and others who want to maintain a certain level of journalistic integrity, who are then going to go after it. So go after her because they want to make sure that they're fair. It puts her in a tough situation. So anybody's ever done sports, the one thing you don't want to do is have an unforced error, right? And so I think that's why she's being very cautious. And I think those other factors go in. But if nothing else, and I'll make the comment I made on Monday, she's making Donald Trump work.
Keith, before we, of course, we're coming up on a break, but certainly before we get too far removed from your opening story when you spoke to the flag, I was sent a message that I was asked to share, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. It says, statements by Black council members in regards to the flag, but no comments on Black female councilwomen not getting one committee assignment.
So the flag is about Andrea Pratt? That's the whole fight?
Well, no. It's about the fact that during that whole piece where committee assignments were being given out, you didn't hear from any of the Russell Stampers and different ones down there at City Hall in regards to that.
Okay.
But you get a statement on the flag. Talking about picking your fights, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, here I go. All right, I won't say it.
That doesn't seem a little strange to you? That we would choose to speak out about the flag.
Yeah.
But then when our sisters are not treated accordingly, we have nothing to say.
Well, let me and I've interacted with Alderwoman Pratt
But we're not just talking about Pratt, are
But
we?
I'm just saying, but in terms of that, that was in my mind internal common council politics, right? It on the surface, it looks like the people who were supportive of Malele Coggs, um, Perez won, and so Perez to the victor goes the spoils, and that's committee assignments and all those other things. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's politics.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I clearly understand that it does
So
not make
so
it right.
you keep your mouth closed because of what?
I don't know.
I mean, you don't have an
And
opinion.
maybe
You
that
don't have a
flag, you know,
say.
you don't like the flag. So if you don't like it, I'm assuming there are a lot of other people out there that don't like it.
No, I'm speaking in terms of picking your fight. So that was a fight that they should not have spoken up for. Those elected officials, African American brothers that are down there, whose sisters were not given assignments and even considered for assignments. I'm just asking the question. I'm not trying to stir up the pot or nothing, you know.
No, it's a great question, but again, that's the
But I guess I would be asking you to think in their thought process.
well, it's politics, man, and those are the games that people play on a political level, and it's done within parties, right?
Mhm.
Where you have certain people who, in the Dems, people didn't like them, even though they were Democrats. Obviously, they need them; they need the vote, and they would do things to do them. I mean, you got human beings there with their personal agendas. The fact that
But do you think that best serves the citizens, the constituents, if you will,
no, it doesn't.
when you speak to tenured folk that were passed over for rookies, if you will, newly elected alderpersons that were given committee assignments over?
Cavalier Johnson did the same thing. Those people that supported Cavalier Johnson when he was Common Council president got the plum positions.
Okay.
And I don't know, and I don't know if there was anybody he went out to punish, uh, but obviously,
Well, he should have been punishing everybody because, from what I understand, nobody voted for him.
no, somebody voted for him. None of the black
That's
all
what
the
I'm
people
speaking
voted
to.
for. Well,
That's what I'm speaking to.
you're right.
Keith.
So
Don't make me sound crazy.
I'm just
You know,
saying. But,
somebody had to vote for him. Keith.
yeah, and I don't know, and some of these superficial qualifiers, if you're a woman, if you're white, if you're male, you know, I don't know. But again, I'm not down there. Those folks have their relationships. We're not privy to what their relationships are unless it spills out into the public. But trust me, any group, there are people in the group that don't like each other. That's any group. Any group. There's some people in there that don't like each other. So no, but I hear what you're saying. It you know, a group of ministers.
And again, that was a message that was sent to me.
No, I think
it wasn't mine.
No, it's not a wrong. I think people ask that question. Certain things you seem to speak up for, other things you don't. And why? You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Dear my wife, she said, you're wrong on this one. That was a Donald Trump JD Vance answer you gave. Maybe you can explain to me what was JD Vance's about that statement.
Which is
I don't
she
know.
referring to?
I don't know. I just text her, so we'll see. Um,
Are we talking? Is she referring to your answers that you gave on the flag?
yeah, did I give an answer on the flag? Because I had more
It was
questions.
politics.
It is. I mean, that's low hanging fruit, but yeah, I mean, it's politics. Um, I think the other thing is skin don't make kin. All right. I mean, this idea, I don't know where it seems that, and here I am at 35,000 feet, that people will say, you know, when it's convenient, if it's in my self interest, then we black together. But then if I'm going a different direction, or if I don't like the person, I mean, because politics can be that petty. I just don't like the person. It ain't that anything they said is wrong. It's not anything that they were doing that would be injurious to our great society. I just don't like them. And sometimes I just don't like them.
And is that good politics when it comes down to the needs of your constituents? You know,
it
the
could
folks that vote for you.
It could be very negative politics if it's something that you need to be in the room with that person to get done. There's that word, compromise, right? But this idea that everybody, just because everybody is Hispanic, all the Hispanics on the city council, one, like each other, and two, are always going to support each other. That's probably not going to be the case. I mean, because there are these divergent interests that people have. People come from very diverse, different communities that they're representing their needs.
Now I'll tell you an older person that I personally probably would never want to meet and just hang out with is Bob Donovan.
Yeah.
But when he was one of the older persons down there. But the one thing I will say about him is he didn't care whether it was his automatic district. If it happened in the city, he spoke to it and he spoke about it and he gave his opinion, and he was usually pretty much on point. So I think that, even when it comes down to committee assignments, why is it that these guys can't speak their minds, whether it means they're not going to get it, because he can't fire them. He's not the boss. The people elected and sent him down there
They
to
can't fire
speak
him
on their behalf.
But the president of the Common Council,
cannot get rid of an alder person.
They couldn't. I mean, but I don't know if it seems to me that if you had someone who was willing to work, if nothing else, you would benefit them. I just rewatched Dynasty, and that was the piece.
JD. I'm with Rhonda now. Come on, JD.
No. I'm just, and it was the whole situation. The Dynasty was about the Patriots, that 20-year run they had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, Belichick and Tom Brady weren't even speaking to each other. I mean, they hated each other, and for Kraft, it became almost untenable. Because they're still being successful.
Right.
I mean, even up to the last year, Brady was in New England. They won a Super Bowl, right? And then the next year he goes and wins a Super Bowl
elsewhere
at Tampa Bay. So, I mean, you knew that. So who do you give it up? Do you give up the coach? I mean, and even though they were being successful, they couldn't stand each other. So, I mean.
But I guess they both understood the mission.
And sometimes that should always be that the mission is more important than the personal. But sometimes the personal can be so deep that it will trump, no pun intended, it will trump the immediate good that you have to do. I was watching a lot because I'm trying not to watch real television because I'm just sick of the campaign ads at this point. I'm just sick of them. And I know I need to, but I'm sick of them. So any chance I get not to watch, I don't watch. But when you think about the politics that we deal with, it's still human beings. And and I'm not going to use the word allowance, but it's something that we need to we need to focus on. I was watching a piece on. I watched Bayard Rustin's movie again, and Adam Clayton Powell. Now, Adam Clayton Powell would argue that he was down for black people, and what he did in Harlem, the things that he pushed for in Harlem, and then when he expanded to New York City, and then his work when he became chairman of the Health and Education Committee. He was one of the real reasons a lot of Johnson's legislation was passed because of Adam Clayton Powell. But Adam Clayton Powell had a black preacher issue with Martin Luther King, right? And so, and there was a whole lot of things. Adam Clayton Powell from Abyssinian Baptist Church, you know, the most prestigious black pulpit in the country. Martin Luther King is this country preacher. And Adam Clayton Powell is very jealous of the attention that Martin King is getting. So every chance he got to undermine Martin Luther King, he did, to the point he was going to put rumors out that Martin Luther King and Bayard Rustin was having a relationship. Bayard Rustin was going like, well, one, no, Martin Luther King ain't gay, and we didn't have a relationship, right? And then jokingly in the movie, he said he ain't even my type. So
because he was gay. Yeah, that was
right. And so up to the March on Washington, because Adam Clayton Powell wanted to be a speaker at the March on Washington. But they figured out a way to maneuver him out by saying, look, only the big six civil rights organizations, turned out to be 10 because some other groups, UAW and other groups, joined to do that March on Washington. So the internal politics where you're thinking people should be doing the right thing, when in fact, you know, behind the scenes, those folks don't like each other. And the only reason why we're kind of in a group together is because we look like each other. But don't assume just because we look like each other, we down for each other, because that might not be the reality. And that's hard, but I just know that's the real world that we live in. And then for those of us who are in the public, you don't see all the shickety that's going on behind the scenes. Shickety.
Huh.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying, and
So
right or wrong, you line up on what you think is right or wrong. But if you dislike a person enough to the point that it borders on hate, you're not going to help them.
Sounds like self-preservation, someone said.
Well, everybody operates on self-interest. No human being does not operate on, it's always our self-interest. We see it in our self-interest. If you're picking a candidate, you see that candidate is going to do things that you feel like are in your best interest. That's why you're supporting the candidate. Now, we might have all these superficial ancillary things that may or may not have anything to do with their ability to do the job, but at the same time, right? That's my guy. That's my girl. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking about, because they showed Kamala Harris's approval among blacks, and it's something like 83. And then they compared it to Obama, and actually her approval among black people is lower than it was for Biden. Biden was at 90. Obama was at 98. And so the question I think I asked somebody the other day, and I think George was saying that, yeah, well, if it's a side piece and him and Trump had a side piece, he still vote for him. But here's one of the interesting pieces, right? I was talking to a sister, and I was telling him about that whole discussion. I said, so, you know, like, would Barack Obama being married to a white woman be a disqualifier? She said, yeah, because there's a lot of black women, if he was married to a white woman, even though he's half white, they would have had an issue with that. And then I pointed out, when Kamala Harris was running for president back in 2019, going into 2020, there were black men who had an issue with her because she was married to Doug, who was a white man. So I can say that people are, we're always going to do the right thing, and we're doing it because it's right to do, but your personal things will enter into that decision making too, right? You know, one of the things that people saw, there's a whole lot of probably white males who identify with Donald Trump because they feel like Donald Trump is the alpha white male. You know, he gets away with all of this stuff. So there are a lot of men out there who think, okay, that's a good thing. That's my guy, right? That's my guy. So it's not that people are exacting political science or applying political science to why they vote for a particular individual. You have white evangelical Christians who are supporting a man who is a known adulterer, who has been convicted of sexual assault, who has stiffed his people he does business with. He is a habitual pathological liar. The last time I checked, lying wasn't cool in the Bible. He got all of that. That doesn't matter to folks. And these are folks who say they're Christian. Doesn't really matter, right? So what do you do? I mean, so when I hear people coming in and I'm trying to say I can understand why people would support Donald Trump, though I don't agree with it, I'm just saying that there are emotional factors that go into why we support candidates to the point we can be so blinded. What's that line from the Earth, Wind, and Fire song? I can't let go. And there's a line in the song that says, lovers' eyes are blessed because they only see the best. And what I'm saying is that passion distorts our vision, our view of people and the world. If I love someone, I think that the term we use is blind spot, and you put blinders on. You know this person is, they're jacked up. You still love them. And you have a tendency then to say, you know what? I understand where Keith is. Keith is trying. That's because you like me. Now, if you don't like me, if you hate me, then you done condemn me to hell, right? This is how we operate. So I don't know if there's any of us out there who are just pure in our thoughts, because the other thing that rolls up against the purity of our thoughts is reality, right? Or certain circumstances. That's the problem with being so black and white in the world, because we find out that the world can be black and white, but for the most part, the world is pretty gray. And every day we're making decisions. Some days there are serious ethical decisions, moral decisions that we're making. And then other days it's just like, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Again, there goes my babbling. Hold on, I'm going to get the caller. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, Keith, how you doing in the morning?
What's happening, man?
Hey, I hope I'm watching live with you. You know, you're talking about Trump being a liar. Hey, Keith, both of them liars. They both lie.
Who? Harris?
Yeah.
Does she lie at the same rate as Donald Trump?
If you lie about, like she said when she was in college, she smoked weed, right?
Okay.
And the music she listened to was Tupac and Snoop.
Right.
They was 10 years old. So, I mean, do your math. Come on now. I mean, it's getting to the point that
Tupac was she was in school in the 80s. Tupac and hip hop had started by that time. I think she was.
Tupac wouldn't. Come on now. Tupac wasn't doing. He was in high school, not even high school yet.
Okay.
But I mean, the little lies. I mean, research. Stop. Think. Talk. Tell the truth.
So
yes,
do you think okay, all right. Let's say she misspoke on listening to Tupac. You didn't take any issue with her smoking weed in college, though. So we can assume that she was smoking
weed. They were smoking weed since the beginning of time.
So what I'm saying is,
that ain't the problem. That ain't the problem.
What else has she lied about?
Okay, she actually lied about she doing the giving new homeowners $25,000. They've been doing that way before this stuff even started.
Is that a lie?
Yeah, that's a lie because she ain't doing it.
There's a proposal.
No, they were already doing that, Keith.
But she's saying that she's making it part of her economic plan.
Why? It's already in effect, Keith.
Okay.
Start doing things that's productive right now. The cost of living they talking about is going down. It's not going down, bro. It's still rising.
Inflation is going down.
It's going. Excuse me.
Inflation is going down.
The cost of living is going up.
Okay.
Food is still going up.
Right. What does that have to do with Vice President Harris?
Well, she keeps saying it's going down.
The inflation is going down.
It's not.
It is.
Keith.
Inflation now is about 3%.
Okay, listen. Okay, out in the county, out in the outside county, but the county we stay here, right here in Milwaukee, there's nothing going down, Keith.
But she's never said that the cost of living is going down. I've never heard that. Said inflation is going down.
It's not going down.
Inflation is going down.
$4. Eggs are still $4.
People are talking about price gouging. That there are people who took advantage of the disruption of the food chain during the supply chain during COVID. They raised their prices because of demand of products. The products are now available, but they never dropped their prices. That's what she's talking about.
Okay, look at this. During COVID, remember when the gas went all the way down?
Yep. I remember going to the gas station, filling up the car because it was almost $1 something a gallon. I remember that.
Trump didn't have nothing to do with that.
What did Trump do, though? Trump immediately artificially propped up the price of gas by then putting, what did he do? Something with the strategic oil supply that he did, but people weren't driving. So, of course, there's no demand.
Exactly. So the gas companies drop their gas so people can drive. So in the long run, they can hike the price back up.
Right. But that has nothing to do with Vice President Harris or Donald Trump for that matter.
What I'm saying, exactly. And I want people to know that when he said he had something to do that, or when he is giving out those checks, he wasn't giving those checks out, people. The Congress had control of that. He just was an idiot.
But he wasn't going to sign the legislation. He was threatening to veto the legislation. And then for all you brothers out there who was talking about he gave you stimulus checks, not if you got child support, you didn't get that first stimulus check. That didn't happen.
Well,
okay?
I did, but I paid my child.
Well, you pay yours, but I'm just saying the people that owe,
if they had arrears,
they didn't get a check.
You were in good standing.
And then Congress under Joe Biden adjusted, so when you got those stimulus checks in, what was it, October, December of 2021, it included them because it wasn't. And so and I had dudes running around telling me Donald Trump said he gonna get rid of child support. Nigga, what is wrong with you? He never said that.
$4 for the month.
Did I slip?
It's something. I mean, been going around about child support.
Well, that ain't true. And he wasn't the person who was doing it.
No, Trump. What Trump know about child support? He ain't paid a child.
But I guess let's get back to where we started. If she did tell a lie, it does not compare to the number. He told 33 lies in their debate. He told 39 lies in.
They also had the people that was running the debate not to ask certain questions to Pamela. And I don't really keep up with them. So if I'm saying her name wrong, I apologize. But all I know, she was Pamela.
It's Kamala. So, all right, man. Well, let me get this next call because I have guests coming in. Appreciate you. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ms. Parris. Thanks for taking my call.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. When you just spoke about life in general, how things are not so much as like left as opposed to right, meaning black or white, that life is more nuanced, gray, lacking definition. It's kind of like arbitrary, random. And I don't agree, because for our reality, our existence here has been defined as black and white. And everyone who comes to America, they reap the benefits of our forebears who died, bled, sweat, were enslaved, chattel enslaved human beings, made as made out to be as commodities, sold, lock, stock, and chain on auction blocks by a particular group of people, and they know who they are, and we, us, we don't take that. I don't think entirely into consideration when we weigh our existence here in America, in the wilderness of North America. So for me as a black man, because I think I'm a black man. I get treated like a black man. That's what I check on the thing. I'm black. I'm not afraid to say that I'm black. I'm not whatever the other things that they might have ascribed to us if, by imposition, as opposed to us it being bequeathed upon us by natural order, meaning from God. So all in all, when we think that if our lives here are not black and white and they're more nuanced, I think that comes from the mentality of an assimilated mind who has accepted and who has acquiesced to not pursuing self determination or independence for us as a people. That's what I think. Thank you.
All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and we have the great privilege and honor to be joined in studio by Dr. E. Paul, President and CEO of the Milwaukee Urban League, the TMUL.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? How are you?
I am good. I am good.
Welcome back.
Thank you. And we're the Greater Milwaukee.
Greater
Urban League.
Milwaukee.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, we made that change. Oh, maybe that's 2 years ago now.
Okay.
And we did that on purpose because we wanted to make sure that people understood is that better? It was not just Milwaukee, but that we also serve the surrounding counties, especially when it comes to employment opportunities and being able to partner.
Are there urban leagues in Kenosha, Racine, Beloit, Madison?
We have two others. One is in Madison, and they've been around 50 years, probably starting a few years ago, it would be 50. And then Kenosha Racine has one. So, but we're the oldest. So we were started in 1919. This is actually our 105th year of existence.
The Urban League or the Urban League in Milwaukee?
The Urban League of Milwaukee. Our Milwaukee
Wow.
Urban League. So we were, so the Urban League nationally was founded in 1910. So that makes us part of the first decade of urban leagues that were founded, which makes sense because when we were founded, it was about serving African-American families and individuals who were moving from the South to the North for a better way of life. And so there were a group of individuals, Black and white, as a matter of fact, in New York, who understood how the demographics of cities would change and the need for, advocacy to support employment, education, health, equity, entrepreneurship, housing, all of the elements of life.
And that whole migration and that, what would be the word, acclimating and helping people who are moving from the South into urban areas, because they come from rural areas, now moving to urban areas.
That's right.
It could be pretty difficult.
That's right. But
I thought,
we were really that voice.
When you look at the demographic or the population, I can only imagine how big the Black population was in 1919, because I remember we were about 10% of the population my growing up here. It really was.
It was small. It was small. But, it was small, but it was also a powerful group. If you think about it.
Percentage of population, though, 10%, we had 1 million people. So that's
right.
100,000 people.
Right. But I'm also thinking, Keith, especially, in the earlier years, because we were working. So, we didn't have the gaps that we have now in terms of employment and even education. It was a stronger city. So now it's still important for us we still focus on all of those areas, just in a different way. But, a real focus on how can we keep addressing these gaps, and it's a long road, but we have to look at success individual by individual, family by family. So
in terms of areas of emphasis, what are some of the areas of emphasis in terms of providing service and support that the Greater Milwaukee Urban League offers?
So we were talking a little earlier about driver's permit, which is very important. We've been providing driver's permit classes for over a decade to adults 18 and older. But just last year in the summer, we started working with 15 through 17-year-olds because of the elimination of driver's permit classes in the public schools. And the cost of private lessons is $400 and $500. So with the help, quite frankly, of WTMJ, who helped us raise money, we had our first cohort of students last summer and another cohort of students this summer that were teenagers to get their driver's permit.
What about areas around employment?
So employment, we have a couple of ways that we help people. One, we have a subsidized program, especially for individuals who have been going through some challenging times. They may be returning citizens, dealing with custody and parent support, children support issues. So we actually help them get jobs, get started. It's a little difficult because these are very low paying jobs. It's $7.25, but it does help people really get back on their feet. And then we try to work on even subsidizing that to just the individual who's looking strictly for employment or looking for ways to advance themselves, because we do have connections with various companies.
What about issues? What are some of the issues that you do advocacy for?
Home ownership. We actually own 30 scattered site homes in Metcalf Park. We're in partnership with Gorman Development, with WIDA, with the city. And this was a 15-year tax credit project. I know you've heard about those tax credit projects. And so at the end of 15 years, of course, residents can actually purchase their home. We've been able to actually award 4 residents new homes. Well, not new, but I mean, they're the existing homes, but they are first time homeowners. And so we're looking to continue to expand that so that more individuals can purchase their homes. And we're also partnered with Axe Housing because they're the ones that really help in supporting that journey for them to purchase their home.
Well, one of the things we talk about in terms of generating wealth, and how real estate is transferable wealth. So we have intergenerational wealth. But we've heard this thing about how long a dollar circulates in the Black community, something like 8 hours. But if we could do a better job of having more Black ownership in certain areas, that money still kind of stays. Some of that money anyway will stay in the community, right?
It does. And, but to your point, that's one of the basic ways to create an asset for yourself, and something, as you said, becomes generational wealth that you can pass on. But the biggest thing right now, as we all know, housing is a real issue. And so the more, Keith, that we can stabilize our families so that they can have a place that they own versus being in that volatile situation when you're renting and your home is not taken care of or you're late in your rent. I mean, with the homes that these individuals can purchase, they're paying less for their mortgage now than what they were having to pay for in rent.
Are there, because part of if you've been used to renting, and whenever there's a problem calling the landlord, it's like when we bought the house, like, need to call oh, I am the landlord.
Correct.
Are there classes there to help people? Because I don't think people always, you think you were just in the house. If you were renting, somebody else was taking care of most of that. Now this is your responsibility. So are there classes there that people take to help them understand the responsibilities of homeownership?
There are. So there's ongoing support, ongoing really education between the Urban League and Axe Housing with homeowners, just for that, as well as though, it's one thing to purchase, but making sure that you can maintain, helping you, with your financial management. Now you may have additional funds, but how do you save, or how do you put some of that back into your own home?
What's the Level Up program?
So Level Up is new. It's for basically 14 through 18 to 19-year-olds. And it's really focused on youth with employment and career readiness. We have found that there is a gap in terms of our youth really getting those preparation skills. So we have started that. We had, I think, about 40 students that ended up getting jobs, and we had employers on site. So we actually were providing the workshops during the day, and then at the end of those workshops, they were able to talk with an employer. So that's something new that we've started, and we will make sure that we continue to wrap our arms around young people in that manner. But we feel that that's one of the areas of need, and it has shown itself to be true because more and more of our youth want to be part of Level Up because we do work with high schools.
I was asking you before we came on the air that you still have the partnership with Oliver Wendell Homeschool.
And we do.
Why did you see the importance of going into some of these schools?
Well, first of all, the Urban League has always partnered with schools on some level. So that's historical. In terms of the way we are doing it now, we are part of a national initiative called Project Ready Mentor, which is mentoring, is providing students with community service opportunities. It's making sure that they're getting the academic support that is needed by partnering with the schools, and a real focus, especially on options of going on to a 2 or 4 year institution. So what we've done though is we're not just in public schools, we're also in charter and choice. So, we work with Messemer, we work with Pathways, we're still with Oliver Wendell Holmes. We've done some things with Hawthorne. So, just continuing to provide that support to our students.
I was just I was smiling. Every year, Martin Luther King Elementary School, they bring in it. First of all, it was males, but now it's male and females during Black History Month to come in and spend time in the classroom. They do a whole program. So me and a guy, I think he's an electrician. We were in a 6th grade class, actually my old classroom there at,
Oh, wow.
at Lindbergher. And so we're talking. And so the kids were doing what 6th graders do, right? They're talking.
Not paying attention to
Not
you,
paying
right?
attention.
You
But
have
there's
to
one
get
little boy he said, you should listen because they're rich.
Interesting.
And it hit me about how we don't know when you talk about mentors coming in.
Yes.
But for young people, they see you and then, they kind of inspire. So when they're young, and we weren't even close to rich, but he said, they're rich. You need to listen.
Yes.
So I think the importance of exposing our young people, and especially our young males.
Yes.
To
oh gosh, we
possibility.
need you so much. We were just as an example, Dr. Howard Fuller just opened his school, and that's right around the corner from us. And what was powerful with that, Keith, when they had their gala, and just when you're in the school, you see so many of our men in serious roles at the school. So that already sets a different kind of presence for our young men. And then in talking to some of the students who've been through his school, even on the middle school level, how they spoke about once they went on to college, there were so many students who had never really had a Black teacher or had not had a male, and they were able to say that they had that experience.
And remember we were talking just before we went on the air, and I was telling you that Bradley Carr was my 5th grade teacher. But you know how rare it was. Mr. Henry was there,
Yes.
and maybe but it was so rare, and how fortunate I was to not only in the 5th grade have a Black male teacher, but I also had a Black male teacher when I was in the 6th grade. Okay. That is really rare on an elementary level where you would see that. But both those men had impact in my life. Told you how Mr. Carr did.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that exposure and that you have these different groups out there, we catch them before someone else does, right?
Well, and we have to do more of that. I mean, we're doing some of that at the Urban League. I'd like us to do even more, because there's still too much of a disconnect between, quote unquote, those who have been successful in graduating from school and, full-time jobs, whether it's professional or just working every day, with our children who oftentimes, depending on their household or depending on their school, do not see those examples. And you hear it time and time again, and we already know from our personal stories, as you shared, one person can make a difference. One comment, one conversation can refocus a child. So.
And let's talk about it. The thing, the deal, the event, the Black and White Ball.
So we are in our 39th year, Keith, of the Black and White Ball, 39. Which started as an event to bring people together just as it says, blacks and whites together, which at that time, 39 years ago, we were not in as much of a conversation as we are now. We weren't collaborating as much. And I thought it was a brilliant idea that the at that time they called executive director and the board chair came up with as an annual fundraiser, but a way to galvanize this community. So what happens that night is you have everyone from the C-suite, the CEO of an organization, to a community leader or activist, to frontline staff, to managers, etc. I mean, it's all levels, it's all races, it's gender mix, spiritual mix, and the evening is just one that is very pleasant and embracing and has a sense of diversity that is very, very rich. And while they have fun, we have Shantae Moore, who is our entertainment. We also have the Eddie Butts Band. There's also a moment where we have very serious conversation about the importance of the work that we do as an urban league, but more importantly, the work that we have to continue to do together in this community.
And so where we when are we holding?
Yeah, you coming?
Yeah, I guess I am now. When is that?
So it is Saturday, November 2nd at the Baird Center rooftop. So, they now have the rooftop, and it's the same place. I mean, it's the old Wisconsin Center District where we've always had the ball anyway. Our co-chairs, Marnie Brooks, who's the president and CEO of the Baird Center, and Nina Johnson, who is a senior VP at U.S. Bank, are the co-chairs, and starts around 6 p.m. that evening. And it's a lovely evening. And it is very important because it is our major fundraiser. The money that we raise really helps us to continue to operate and support some of the programming that we've mentioned.
Did you grow up in Milwaukee?
I did. This is my home. Park Hill is the area where I grew up.
Yeah. So when you were talking about the Baird Center and the rooftop, I immediately went back, and you probably were too when this place was open. Tops Disco at the top of the Holiday Inn right there on 26th and you don't know about it. 26th and Wisconsin.
The Holiday on 26th.
There used to be a Holiday Inn where what is that now? I don't know. DWD building is right there.
Oh,
yeah, that was Tops Disco. So
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that was, and they ended up moving down to Circus, but it was Tops and the top of the inn. And I thought about that with the Baird Center.
That was a big deal. Well, but the Pfister, remember the top of the Pfister, and also even think about the Hyatt.
Now is that still rotating?
You know what's so funny? So I was out of town not long ago for a meeting, and we were at a Hyatt that was rotating. And while we were rotating, I went, does ours still rotate? Because I haven't been.
Last time I was there, there was rotating.
Okay.
But I don't know if it still does now.
Yeah.
That's an interesting little piece of uniqueness to the Hyatt chain where, you had the rotating. But think about the top of that. And the great thing about that was you had such a great view of the city.
Exactly.
And back in the day. Wow.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. So going forward, things that you're looking at in terms of the future?
Well, one of the things that we've also added is our Microsoft Office training. So Word, PowerPoint, and Excel.
Why is that important?
Well, you just need those basic computer skills just to get in the door sometimes. And so often, again, our students don't always have the support that's needed to get that training. And the environment that we offer at the Urban League is patience. You're embraced. You don't have to be embarrassed to ask questions. And so providing that is very important, not only for students, but also for adults. So we want to continue to expand that program that we're doing. We also provide what we call our STEAM Summit, which is huge. We have almost 300 students for a day. We've been doing it out at the zoo. And we have companies organizations, medical college, We Energies, others that actually have hands-on activities for students. So we're looking to, further expand that as well. Continuing with home ownership, we, do that. And our entrepreneurship, at one point we really weren't doing that. I used to work with the chamber. That's the kind of work I was doing, and was able to work and get them up and running, and now they're doing a fabulous job. In fact, they had their Breakfast of Champions event this morning. But we are back in the entrepreneurship space as an urban league, but the space we're taking up, Keith, is really helping the participants get their products on the shelf. So we're not helping them start their business or per se stay in business, but really helping them in terms of being able to market what they have. So we've been able to connect individuals to Meyer Foods. We've been able to connect them to Kohl's. So we want to continue to be a connector.
Sounds like a lot.
Trying to make it happen.
How long you been CEO?
2017.
Okay.
I know. I'm going,
So yeah, it's amazing how
time. Yeah.
When you get older, you go back. I was talking to someone and we going like, wow, where did that time go? Because it just
goes quickly. Yeah. And COVID, it really did something with time, because often I'm in conversation and I just feel like I just still have not done enough in terms of helping to move our organization forward. We have a phenomenal team that work very hard and are very compassionate and committed to the work that they do. But as a leader, just making sure that I'm doing all that I could do to make sure we have the resources that they need to operate and the connections that are needed. So,
again, the Black and White Ball will be held
Saturday, November 2nd, Baird Center, $250 per ticket, but that is a write-off. But you can also go to our website, www.tmul.org, for more information in terms of sponsorship levels, because we do sponsor tables. There's ad opportunities, or if you just want to come as an individual, you will not regret coming that evening. It's very inspirational.
Shantae Moore's the entertainment this year.
That Eddie is Butts the Band. One in Eddie Butts Band, yes.
Wow. Dr. Eve Hall, President and CEO of the Greater Milwaukee Urban League. Appreciate you. Always appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. You don't have to wait a year.
Yes.
We can come regularly to talk about our events.
You should.
And I can get my program people to come on and really talk in more detail. So would love to entertain some of those opportunities.
Love to have you. Again, Dr. Eve Hall, the Greater Milwaukee Urban League. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. right, welcome back to Community Voice. As we're waiting on our next guest. That's right, Debo, you would have been about, how you would have been. How would you been, like 78, 79? 12? Yeah, so you never got the Tops disco. Yeah. And you never got the Sonny's on Broadway either. Papa Giles? Wait, really? You and my sister about the same age, right? Oh, okay. Papa Giles, man, that floor. Sonny's that floor. That floor used to, I don't know if that was safe or not, but one of the things you realize, one of those things like you're getting too old. I was down. It must have been Sonny's then, and man, I go down Sonny's on Broadway. Love the floor, love the dance floor, the whole piece. And now one Friday night, and then I look up, and here come my sister and her crew, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not supposed to be here because there's a 9-year difference between me and my sister. So then I decided, okay, well, I'll go to Symphony's.
Did you belong there?
No, because my aunt was in there, so it's like, where can I go?
Where did you land?
But I don't know where I let home. Church back home. Because I couldn't wait when I was a little guy. My guy was preaching Sunday, and he mentioned Terran's. I couldn't wait to go to Terran's. I've known Jimmy. I've known Jimmy Terran longer than anybody in this city that's not a relative, right? And so I couldn't wait to go to Terran's. And then when I was old enough to get into Terran's, I didn't want to go to Terran's anymore. Because all the school teachers, they was up in Terran's. Like, dude, I don't want to see it.
Did you ever frequent Boobies?
Yeah, but for the food.
Yeah.
We used to go to Boobies over the lunch hour, man, because we worked 12th and Elite. We'd go over to Boobies.
I always liked Boobies for the live band.
Oh, yeah, man. And was he there? And then I know he came in. Need another cheer. Because one of the great voices, I just think one of the great is Larry K. Miles.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Just we're gonna grab a cheer for you.
No, he's gonna get it, man. We don't ask you to come in and interview and make you work too.
Okay, and then when you get finished with that, we have a little cleanup we need to do outside, and then what else we got for you? We doing any painting? Welcome, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really, 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 really well. And oh man. So there is an annual event that we have in the city called Doors Open. And so we have the representatives here from Doors Open. Ladies, introduce yourself to our listening audience and tell us what you do with this.
Thanks for having us. Grace Fuhr, Events Director for Historic Milwaukee, and I run Doors Open Milwaukee.
Grace
Fuhr. It's a very German last
Fuhr.
name. Yeah.
Sound like I don't know if you love. I'm so weird. The Man with Two Brains is a Steve Martin movie, and his last name was Fuhr.
It's basically that. I'm gonna have to watch that now.
And
good morning. Thank you for having me. I've been saying your last name wrong for a couple years now, so I'm glad you corrected.
There's many ways to say it. It's okay.
My name is Ray Hill. I actually serve as the executive director for the historic King Drive Business Improvement District number 8. We are one of the 34 bids in the city of Milwaukee. So good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
So talk about what is Milwaukee Door Open. I had to stop saying Milwaukee Door Wide Open. That's a different piece. Because some people, the doors might
That's like the 2.0.
Right.
They're just a little bit open. Usually people call it open doors, though. So,
open doors. Yeah. Okay.
You can say anything. It's fine.
My house is not on the open doors tour, so even though my door is open. But tell us, first of all, what was the genesis behind doing Milwaukee Door Open?
Yeah. Doors Open began in 2011. So this is our 14th annual event. And a retired librarian by the name of George Wagner, who worked for Milwaukee Public Libraries for many years, visited Toronto and Denver, where they had Doors Open events. And he thought, why don't we do this here? And he was a longtime tour guide for Historic Milwaukee. So he approached our board of directors at the time and said, why don't we try this event in Milwaukee? And they said, yeah. And he, of course, volunteered his time to do it, to organize it. So there was like no question that we should try it. And the first year he spent working with business improvement districts to reach out to local sites to explain what this thing was, because it was kind of hard for everybody to wrap their heads around. But the first year, there were 80 sites and 10,000 people attended. So that was already a pretty popular event. Last year, we had 130 locations, and we counted every site, and we had 70,000 site visits last year. So this year, we're up to 155 locations, and we'll see how many attendees come out.
And this is kind of my colleague, Michelle Bryant, always says, be a tourist
Mm-hmm.
in your own city.
Yes.
And you'll talk about some of the different locations people can visit. But I worked in the courthouse, and I hadn't really paid attention. And but then when doors open, I just happened to be looking at, and I saw a plaque there, and I didn't know that where the courthouse is built, there was a synagogue there. Right. So these little historical things that people don't even know. And by doing this, you're exposed to it. Right. And so we think about people like the Pabst, mansion. So what are some of the other places people can go or as part of this tour?
Yeah, I brought you a very long list, many page long list of
Told me
locations that
reading
you
was
can visit.
required.
Not that you have to read it right now, but you can help, plan your weekend this way. So if you visit our website, doorsopenmilwaukee.org, you can also have this list of sites. But a couple sites that we're very excited about, Thrive on King is going to be opening their doors kind of like as a sneak peek a little bit for the public before their official public opening. So we're really excited about that. They'll be open on Saturday. This is a beautiful, historic redevelopment of the Schuster Gimbels department store in King Drive. The Baird Center, if you haven't been to their new North Tower, beautiful, beautiful facility. It's 4 stories tall, but it's almost as tall as the Hyatt View, which is next door. And so you get to go to the rooftop and check out the terrace and these amazing views of Milwaukee. And they've done a really good job making the building very sustainable and has a lot of local Milwaukee art on display as well there.
What was the building the mayor jumped off of the other day?
Yes, he jumped safely with ropes.
I think they call it repelling, but okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make
Don't do it! You're the rest of your life. Don't do it. I know it's tough being a man, but no.
We can talk about this.
I too repelled. I did, yes. Yeah, so that was.
I repelled in college. ROTC let us repel. Yeah.
Okay. We should have had you down to do it.
No, once was enough.
Once was enough. Okay. So we were at the Milwaukee Athletic Club, and that will also be open. And the rooftop, which is a really nice, beautiful rooftop that you do not have to rappel off of, will be open on Sunday of Doors Open. Yeah.
Let me, and it's interesting, some of the historical, anytime, I don't know how many homes or buildings Frank Lloyd Wright did here, but there's several. And I see that you have one of them there, 2714 West Burnham.
Yeah, the Burnham block. And this is an entire block of, they're still preserved, all designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Okay.
Some of them are privately owned, and
Okay.
some of them are now managed by the a Frank Lloyd Wright, nonprofit that gives tours there. And it's really cool because this was Frank Lloyd Wright's vision of like a model home. So instead of it being, a very expensive architect designed home, it was like everybody can live in a Frank Lloyd Wright home. And when you walk in, the whole concept is that there's nature coming in and feels very warm and cozy. So that's a really cool thing to tour. And probably 1,000 people go through this very small home over the course of the 2 days. And Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church is another Frank Lloyd Wright design.
That's correct.
And they're open on the Saturday of Doors Open.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just if you're a historian, all of this is history, but the Forest Home Cemetery, that has so much historical significance. If you ever go in there and just see some of the gravestones of folks who are Paps and others that are buried there. But for the Black community, it has significance because when descendants of enslaved Africans were migrating north, a lot of the cemeteries wouldn't bury them, but Forest Home did. And so historically, he going, because I didn't understand my late pastor was buried. They were like, why are we going to the south side? But it had everything to do with other people wouldn't. Plus just how it's laid out. This is so crazy. I love visiting cemeteries.
They do a great job, and they have a lot of really amazing docents that lead.
Yeah,
Super tours
it
there.
really is. I mean, some of the places that you get to go, and I like the fact that I can visit them and know that I'm visiting.
You frequent like Union Cemetery? You go over there? You like that one? Still?
No, I had my fill with Union when I was a kid, but every chance I get when I go to Washington, D.C., I go to Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to be able to see Forest Lawn in California. They were one of the first where there were no above ground. Everything was below ground, and how they manicure the whole thing. And Wisconsin Memorial Park, when they do their Memorial Day with the flags, the 4th of July is just.
Yeah. One of their church buildings is going to be part of Doors Open.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is interesting. The Hilton Garden Inn on Broadway. Is that on Broadway?
Yes.
Why is that? You think it's a Hilton, but why is that building is really significant? Right?
Yeah, it was historically called the Loyalty Building. It's right across the street from historic Milwaukee, and it's where Northwestern Mutual kind of got its start. So it was a historic insurance building, and then it sat vacant for several years before Hilton Garden Inn bought it and renovated. And it is a beautiful building. It has a stunning atrium and a lot of really cool mosaic tiles that you can see.
Why did and I'm just the Jazz Gallery, which has in terms of an entertainment venue, that why the Jazz Gallery?
So the Jazz Gallery is located in River West, and it's also they have a lot of significant history in terms of people who have performed there and still hosting performances, and it's an art gallery as well.
Now, here's something maybe people didn't know, and maybe this is why it'd be interesting to take a tour. Milwaukee Public Library, Central Library. A lot of people don't know that used to be the museum. And so that's the significance of that building, right?
Right. Yeah. And the lion was in the dome. There's some really interesting historical photos there. So people can tour the library, and then they have a bunch of ticketed tours that day as well. I'd love for us to chat with Ray.
Sure. Ray, want to join the conversation?
We need a little segue.
Well, here's Ray.
So Historic Milwaukee during the pandemic needed to find a way to work with audiences, without being in person. So we created an app-based tour and developed these neighborhood walking tours. And we've worked with many amazing neighborhood organizations. And this year we're really lucky to work with the King Drive bid to develop I think the longest tour we have.
We chopped it down a little bit, but to Grace's point, we are excited to be a partner this year with Historic Milwaukee, specifically during the time where a lot of the buildings in our district are historic or have that Cream City brick. So if you went down King Drive, or as my parents call it, 3rd Street, you'll notice that just by looking at it. And so this opportunity allowed us to really speak to what the buildings are, what some of the businesses are, some of the history that comes along with the buildings. So this is a really good opportunity for us to really take the very long 4.5 miles of commercial corridor and pack them into about 4 loops on the app, so people can at their leisure be able to enjoy them. And that's an app that you can download with Historic Milwaukee, and then just choose the neighborhood, it isn't released yet. So it's coming out on Saturday. And with that, for the first day of Doors Opens, we will have a hop on and hop off trolley. We love our trolleys on King Drive. So we will have several of those stops that are included on Doors Open, locations like Honeybee Sage, which is a really amazing place if you haven't been there. Thrive on King, as Grace mentioned, 401 Floral, Dead Bird Brewing, and the Black Holocaust Museum, as well as the new gallery with Bronzeville Center of the Arts on 5th and North Avenue. Dr. Finlayson and North Avenue. So a lot happening in the district on King Drive, and
I was
excited.
wondering what that building was.
Yes.
I don't know who I was talking to, and they explained what it was. So to have that, and that's part of that whole Bronzeville development. A couple of other things. There are many places on here. we have used the meeting house of Milwaukee Religious Society of Friends, the Quaker House, which I think is really great just based on where they are. You look into nature, and on any given day, you can actually see deer.
It's a beautiful connection to nature. Yeah. If you go there in spring, they have the little like kind of violet color flowers that bloom along the Milwaukee Riverway.
And I'm just going through and I'm just looking Villa Terrace.
Yep.
Which is I forgot about the planetarium at UWM.
Yeah, that's very cool. That one is very popular during Doors Open too. People with families line up to check out the planetarium there. It's a neat resource that our university has.
And I say we have the Wisconsin Black Historical Society.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that building that they're in primarily is the old Center Street Library.
Right. Yep. It still has the words library across the top.
Oh, I did not know that at all.
Yeah. And then the crazy thing was Milwaukee, where I grew up anyway, was very interesting because we went to the movies on Sunday. Where other people went on Saturdays. I don't know how we started going to movies on Sunday, but we go to movies.
Less people, probably.
Huh?
Less people.
Well, there was no going to the movies. You go to church, so yeah. So that was real interesting. But right next to where that lot is, next to it, there used to be the Oasis Theater, and that was kind of like one of the places that we went. Washington Park, and you're going to the media center there, right?
Yep, that's a new facility. Are you familiar with? It's like in a historic home, but Wes Tank is the operator of the space, and he's a videographer and has done a lot of like Doors Open videos for us.
And a lot of people may or may not know that used to be the old zoo prior to them building the zoo out on the county grounds. I think it has a very interesting history there. The War Memorial Center, that used to be kind of like, it seemed to be cutting edge architecture when they built that building.
Aero Sheridan was the architect. He did the St. Louis Arch as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay. And I'm just because there are things that, of course, Story Hill Firehouse, where I think converted, but I don't think it's an event space. There was another firehouse over on, I want to say Franklin, on the east side. Yeah,
there are 3 firehouses that participate that are active Milwaukee Fire Department firehouses that you can go to.
Okay.
And the one in Franklin is open.
Okay.
One in Brewers Hill, and then the one downtown. And then Story Hill Firehouse is like a converted.
Yeah, what
one.
about the place on National? Was that a firehouse? It's a restaurant now?
Engine 3.
Yeah, is that?
I think it just converted back to an event space, but I think it was an old firehouse.
Okay. The Women's Club of Wisconsin. We see that building. What's the significance of it?
Well, and the neat thing is, with the Women's Club and the Milwaukee Athletic Club, these are private clubs that you really don't get to go to otherwise. So, but beautiful historic building and still a women's club. Men can join though. Put that out there.
And because it has been voted one of the best cocktail lounges in the country, Bryant's Cocktail Lounge.
Bryant's Cocktail Lounge and At Random, which are now owned by the same owner. And I learned a funny story about them, which is so previously 2 different owners, right? And At Random was in competition with Bryant's, and they were like, we need a name that when you open the phone book will come up first. And so they just picked the name At Random.
Wow.
Yeah. And now is owned by a gentleman by the name John Dye, who's also a kind of a historian. So he'll be on location and answering people's questions.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thought that went into naming me. I asked my mother, how did I get my name? And she said, well, we had enough Jameses in the family. My dad's name was James. My uncle was James. My great-grandfather was James. So she said, I just opened up the baby book, and the first name I saw was Keith. A lot of thought went into it. People see it, but I don't know. The Charles Ellis Art Museum.
Yeah, it was built as a mansion historically. But when they built it, they knew that they wanted to donate the building to the county. And now the county is kind of saying, what is the future of this and Villa Terrace? So there are some interesting discussions happening around the future of those spaces.
What, in terms of the maintenance on them? Or?
Yeah, basically the county has been funding these two facilities in part for many years, and just based on public funding, are probably not going to be able to do that long term. So they recently asked for RFP from organizations and businesses to see what the future of that space could be.
I don't know the name of this church, and I don't know if it's on here or not. The church that caught on fire downtown.
Yeah.
That's not part of your.
It's not. No, I think that they're still
working
wrapping it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's right by Best Place at the historic Pabst Brewery, which you can visit.
What is the Benjamin Church House?
The Benjamin Church House is Milwaukee's oldest home, but it was moved to where it is now, and it's in Estabrook Park. So if you've ever driven through Estabrook Park, seen a little white house with columns, that is open. It's owned by the Milwaukee County Historical Society, and they furnish it with period furnishings and give guided tours there. I think there's a little piano that you can play during doors open too.
And Davison Park is the park over by Harley Davidson that they just created.
Correct. Their new space. It's beautiful spot. I brought my kids there before. It's definitely a very nice playground there for kiddos to hang out in too.
And again, you said the Brownsville Center for the Arts.
Yep.
Are they open now?
They are open, doing some light programming. I know that a mural, exterior mural, was just installed by Brad Anthony Bernard, so that's huge. They also have a green roof that they like to show off that you wouldn't know unless you come in and took a look. So that will be open for people to view.
Do you want to talk about the King Drive sign?
Yeah, we do have a sign unveiling happening tomorrow on King Drive and Walnut, where you've seen several monument signs and gateway signs that celebrate, historic King Drive. We also have a huge mural right now by Rosalia Singh and Renardo Hernandez going up currently on MLK and North. So there's a lot of visual art happening. And so, I encourage everybody to come out Saturday and visit the locations.
Obviously the Pfister, people there for the ghost.
That's right up your alley, Keith.
right. I love spooky. Well, I would tell you, because you have one cemetery, this cemetery over on Blue Mound, that is a spooky looking cemetery.
Is it the Calvary?
Yeah. That is kind of spooky. Mm-hmm. That one is. I don't know if I want to go into that one. That one
I think you should make a stop there.
Make a stop there. I'm the guy who really believes that The Exorcist is one of the greatest movies ever made. So being able to go to.
But we're coming up to your season then.
Oh man, this is Halloween. It's not really. I mean, I just kind of like the fall. Yeah, that's the thing I love about Milwaukee. We get 4 seasons, some longer than others, but it's nothing like fall in Wisconsin in my mind. Just the changing of the leaves, and then again, some of these historical places that people are able to visit. So again, if people want to take part in this,
everything is free, no ticket required. Visit our website, doorsopenmilwaukee.org, to plan your weekend.
And that's this weekend.
Yeah, it's here.
Grace, nice meeting you.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Ms. Hill, great seeing you. Danny, right?
Ray. Yep. It's okay.
No, it's not. Ms. Ray Hill, the Martin Luther King Business
Improvement District. That's right.
And Ms. Grace Brewer, doors open. Milwaukee. Appreciate you ladies for coming in. Let me thank all my guests today. My first guest was, who was my first guest? Well, let me thank my first guest. Let me thank my second guest, Eve Hall. Abbie Esterline. Let me thank Grace. Let me thank Ray. Good Lord, willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go for this place in peace.